So I believe you guys were still on your Florida trip, right? When you were kind of hearing the stuff about maybe the season being canceled. Can you like take me through like your process of finding out what was going to happen with your season?
Yeah, it was actually we had completed exactly half of our spring trip. So we had played 5 games. It was actually our day off down there where we started to hear rumblings, and it happened. I happened to hear that my alma mater, Middlebury College, had canceled the rest of their season, and I knew that wasn't a good thing. And obviously we had heard a lot about COVID-19 and the effects it was having, and basketball tournaments were being canceled at the time, the qualifying tournaments, the March Madness, and we just knew that it was only a matter of time probably before it affected us. And so immediately we started thinking, okay, how can we keep our athletes safe and make sure that we're doing what's right by them? But what was it going to look like? Would it be a suspension of our season? Would it be postponement? Early on, there was talk about pushing the season back a month or two, and then resuming in full. So there were a lot of questions in the air. There still are a lot of questions about when things will return. But we found out halfway through the trip, and it was actually kind of a silver lining moment for us because a lot of teams didn't have that foresight. They didn't know when it was going to happen or how it was going to impact them. We were told that we could stay down and complete our trip, which allowed us to give the seniors the best send-off we could. We had a team dinner scheduled that we turned into a senior night, so we were able to speak about how much the seniors meant to the program and give them the recognition they deserve. And, we were able over the course of those last 5 games to get them all playing time, and so that they had good lasting memories of their last trip. And obviously your heart breaks for everybody on the team, but especially for those guys who had put in, 3.5 years of hard work that was sort of building up to this moment. And having 11 seniors on the team, it was one of our deeper and most talented classes we've ever had. So, it was definitely tough. And our first team meeting was the worst thing that I've had to do as a head coach. And that's to tell, the guys that this was the end, that we had one more week together basically. And then we flew home on Friday night of our spring trip. We were informed that we would have an extra week of spring break so that the professors could get everything accommodated to be online. But we got back about midnight on a Friday, and by noon the next day, almost everybody had left campus. So the turnaround was really quick. So there was a lot of logistical stuff we had to organize. But, yeah, definitely one of the more challenging times we've had here as a coach.
And I feel like being a senior is already pretty bittersweet. But I feel like having that grace to finish the spring break tournament was probably the best thing, for the team to kind of give them that send off that a lot of players didn't have the opportunity to have.
Absolutely. We had people who, coaches that I know that played 1 or 2 games, and then they were told it's done. You have nothing else. You can't move forward. And for the seniors, not only are you losing baseball, but you're done. You're graduated. You don't see your classmates anymore. You can't go next door to play video games with your buddy on a Thursday night. You're not going to go out to the bar, on a Saturday night to, celebrate a win. It's your social season is done as well. So they know that they have this graduation deadline in mind, and then all of a sudden it's all just taken away from them, and it's really, really tough to them to digest. But I do think it was a nice silver lining that we were able to give them the send off we could.
And so I know your guys' kind of recruiting, I know at least for Clayton, it was kind of in the summer after going to like camps. Is this going to be affecting your guys' like future recruiting classes? Like, how is that working for you?
Yeah, definitely. And there aren't a lot of answers right now. The NCAA has pushed back the dead period, which is a recruiting period in which no Division I or Division II schools can go and attend events. They can't have official visits to campus. And at Dickinson here at the Division III level, we're not allowed to bring anybody to campus until at least July. We've already had events that we normally work over the summer that have been canceled or postponed. And so I think what we're going to end up seeing is a delayed process. I know we'll still bring in a class. I think everybody will still bring in a class in 2021. The question will be, rather than having events in June, July, and August, are those events now September, October, November? We've had conversations with our admissions office about extending and moving some deadlines for applications so that coaches have a chance to get out and see athletes, so we can bring them to campus so they can see the school, and also so that just the normal student who has nothing, no interest in athletics, has a chance to get to school and visit and find the school that's right for them, because this is a period where they're not able to go out and have those college visits to sort of generate the feel that you would get otherwise, and to know whether they would fit in well at that school or not.
And so at Oregon, we're quarter system school, so we start, late September. I feel like that's what's kept me the most sane, is knowing like I have a lot of time before I start school to kind of see the change. And for baseball, it's a spring sport. You guys, while you're still training in the fall, you're not really starting your season until next February. And so there's going to be so much change. Maybe, this will be kind of done, or maybe like less of a pandemic. How are you going to try and keep the team motivated over, keeping them in shape, making sure everybody's still talking, kind of getting like that team chemistry while they're not at school, while, maybe they're not able to work out as much? What's with that?
Absolutely. And again, we're not sure what our status is going to be in the fall. We're hoping to get students back to campus. But we're trying to stay connected, and, technology helps that. I was joking with my family a couple, weeks ago about, had this happened before the age of internet or before everybody had FaceTime available on their cell phones, this would be a lot different time and a lot different feel. So we try to have at least one opportunity every week for our guys to get together on one of these Zoom calls. We've been doing a lot of alumni networking recently, where our current athletes have a chance to interact with our former athletes, who are in careers that they may aspire to. So we had a meeting with, people that are involved in Major League Baseball, working in front offices, working in scouts, working in video. We've had a meeting with people who, are in sales for major media companies. So NBC Sports, CBS Sports, Barstool Sports. We have upcoming ones for those that are interested in finance. And so, we're having ways that we can get FaceTime with our guys, to make sure that they know we care about them still, and that we, want what's best for them. But we've moved online. A lot of the strength and conditioning stuff we have access to is through an app or through an online portal. So they have access to that. And most of them have modified home gyms or pieces of equipment that they can use. But we're trying to talk to our incoming guys right now who lost their senior year of high school season. And, they're probably a little wary of what the fall may look like coming into a new school as a student, or maybe learning remotely, or how that's going to work. And so, we're doing everything we can to be, as communicative as possible without really knowing the situation. But just letting them know what we know, and trying to connect with them. But, if we don't have a fall season to get ready, we'll use the winter in the early part of the season to get done what we need to. It's interesting because the panic that we faced as a spring sport getting canceled, I've now seen in our department with the fall sport coaches, and, wondering if they're going to have their seasons. And, I know the admissions office has allowed students to defer for a semester or a year, so their enrollment, so they wouldn't lose any playing time. I know the NCAA has granted extra year of eligibility to all of our students, from last spring. And it's been great to see that a couple of our seniors will end up going and transferring to grad schools at the Division I level, and finishing out their careers there. So, and our current guys will have that extra year of eligibility if they want to go that same route and go to grad school as well. So, it's a tricky process, just that there are no finite dates or deadlines or answers as to when things are going to be back to normal. But I think as a coach, one of the things we talk about all the time is being flexible and being resilient and making the best out of bad situations. Baseball and many other games, have failure, and our guys struggle at times with things. We always talk about bouncing back, and this kind of presents an opportunity for us as coaches and as student athletes to be resilient, and to show that we're able to adjust and adapt and overcome and still have success. So we kind of look at it as an opportunity.